Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. Stand out, don't fit in. Welcome to the Personal Development Mastery Podcast. Today I have the real pleasure to be speaking with a spiritual teacher, a light body graduate, past life regression therapist, a soul realignment practitioner, a tarot reader for 18 years, and also a poet. Toni Jehan, welcome to the show. I'm delighted to be speaking with you, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you, Aggie. Thank you very much for allowing me to come on today and share my thoughts with you. I've been looking forward to this very much.
So am I, because I've actually had a personal experience with the work that you do with the soul realignment, and that really intrigued me to share the message with the listeners of the podcast. And we'll discuss about that a bit later on. But I want to start by asking you, let's start with some definitions or some your point of view. So the awareness of spirit, spirituality, I'm sure that you are very well aware that many people see these things in many different ways. So from your point of view, when we refer to the spirit, spirituality, how do you explain that? How do you see that?
Well, like you say, I know it's a subject that is very open to acceptance or non-acceptance. For me, spirituality is very much just connecting to something deeper than what we just see on an everyday level. It's being aware that there's another energy or another presence that is within us, other than what we see on a daily level, and tapping into that in all these different ways that are available for us right now. And knowing that there is guidance, that we're not alone, humbling through the world blindly, just trying to cope with our own little physical bodies and our little minds, and the world is full of everything that frightens us. You know, there is help there. There is a deeper element to us. So that really is looking into that, keeping an open mind on that, and seeing what comes forward. So yeah, to me, it's all about the bigger element and tapping into that and being aware of that and seeing what it can do for you and the world, basically.
Sure. Thank you. Shall we talk a little bit about your story, your journey in spirituality? And there was something that you have written in your description in your website about the way that you understand things to be is different than what many people would consider a description or a story. But I want to ask how your journey evolved, what made you turn into spirituality, and any key defining moments you had along the way that have made you into the person that you are now.
How long is this podcast? Basically, what I would say is everyone gets this wake-up call. At some point you get this little tap on the shoulder, this little nudge that there's something more that you're meant to be doing or where you're meant to be going. And I've always had an open mind about everything. I've never shut down and thought things were crazy or mad. I've always listened and taken it in and not dismissed. And there was a point when I was about, my early 30s, and I suddenly started getting this almost aggravating feeling. It was just this gnawing insistence that just came over me. I woke up with it one morning and it was like, there's something I'm meant to be doing. I don't know what it is. And I tried to shut down on this feeling because I didn't know what it was or where I was going with it. So it was then that spirit, the universe, whatever way you want to look at it, started putting in place lots of so-called coincidences that led me from one thing to another. It was quite a unique journey of, I watched a documentary about past life regression that came on the telly. It just happened to come on at that point. And I suddenly got really excited. I thought, maybe the answer to this lies in the past. Mm-hmm. So then my free paper came through, and this little leaflet flew out of it all about hypnosis. So I thought, this is too much of a coincidence here. So then I started to look all through my yellow pages, because I was in Essex at the time. So there was hypnotists, there was reams and reams and reams, but only one who said they did past life regression. And it just so happened they had to be one road away from me in Southend-on-Sea at the time. Mm-hmm. So I booked up to see them rather in trepidation, because this was all new things to me, and it was very much, I started almost panicking, if you like, that what's going to happen? What if I get taken back and see things, is my life ever going to be the same? And but I just knew I had to do it. So I made my appointment. I went to see the gentleman. But what it turned out to be, I did have some past life regressions, which were really interesting. But it was more about the fact that they wanted me connect to the hypnotist, because he was also a spiritual medium who ran a circle. Mm-hmm. And this is a development circle. And he invited me in straight away. He almost said, my guides knew you were coming, almost. It's like, what? This was just blowing my mind at the time. And he said, did you know you're a healer, by the way? And I didn't know what healing was. And so once he invited me in to join the circle, that's really where everything changed for me. So all of this was leading me to meet him, so I could learn all about everything that I'd never been aware of. It was all about the healing, which is, for anyone that doesn't know what healing is, it's opening up and allowing your body to just bring through energy from the higher source that you can transfer to somebody else just by putting your hands on their back or their neck or their shoulders, and it allows that energy to transfer through, and it starts triggering the healing process in somebody else. Mm-hmm. So it's a very wonderful, beautiful thing. But again, a lot of people don't accept it, don't believe it, which is fine. But it opened a whole new door for me, and that's where my learning process started. I started then trying to get my hands on every book I could get my hands on to do with anything spiritual. And I was led then to certain books. Mm-hmm. I think it's the same for anybody who wants to start exploring this side of things. If you go into, I know you can't at the moment, but if you go into a bookshop, if you can look online even, and just go to like the spirituality sort of section, if you run your eye over them, there's going to be one that kind of, it's got like this neon light flashing on it, and that's almost where you're being guided to go. That's the one you need to pick up. Trust that you're looking and getting the right information, because there'll be something in there you need to be aware of or look at or open your mind to. I think it's important for anyone listening to always trust in that inner moment of guidance, when you get that feeling sense about something, that you're actually being nudged to do something, and to honour that and go through with it. But always as well, but not to believe everything from what everyone says because they say it's true. It doesn't necessarily mean it is. You've got to start trusting this feeling. And if you're reading these books, there might only be one paragraph or one chapter in there that actually means something to you. Yeah. So you pick out the bits that resonate with you and disregard the rest. And you gradually start building your own picture of how things work for you, how you're seeing things working. Because at some point you will then explain that to somebody else. And I think everyone will explain things differently. So you'll be sent to the person that can explain it the way you'll get it. Because if you've got 6 people in a line trying to explain something, they'll all put it across in a different way, and you might sit there scratching your head, but then one person will say it to you in a way, and it's like, that's it, I get it now, I understand.
Sure.
So, yes, it's for me, that was my journey. This is what started me off where I am. And then I understood about meditation. And I used to sit in the circle, in this little group, we used to sit and meditate. I learned more about meditation from that. And as I sat there, all this information would start coming in. And I can't even explain to you how it comes in, because you don't hear a voice. You don't hear this voice telling you all this stuff. It's just like, almost like you're getting this download into your subconscious. And you know it's not you, because you didn't know this stuff before. And you come out of meditation and it's like, wow, this is incredible. I wasn't aware of this. This is mind-blowing. And then you want to research more. And then you're led to the books that expand that bit of knowledge you've been given to open you out even more. And this is how it goes. You'll be led to whatever level of awareness you're currently at. A baby, no point trying to teach a baby algebra. You've got to teach it numbers and letters first, so whatever stage you're at, they've got to give you a level of understanding of where you're at, and then gradually drip feed in a bit more and a bit more, so you're more and more open each time to what's going on.
Toni, can I ask you said about like a download that comes during the meditation. So can you give me an example of something that you didn't know before and it came to you from out there? Just an example so I can understand how you mean it.
I suppose the most mind-blowing thing, which might make a lot of people listening sort of switch off, but
don't worry about that.
Keep an open mind, folks. In one of the early things I got was literally, I was told, or I got the impression coming in, the world doesn't exist. And it's like, this is a non-reality. You're perceiving it's there, so you're seeing it's there and you're living that. But it's just actually existing in the mind of Source, the creator, if you like. The whole thing is just like a thought in the mind of the creator. It's all just, and everything's going on in that. And that just totally blew my mind. It was like, how can that be? So I knew that I hadn't dreamt that up, but then that then brought me to more books, more things that backed that up. Because this is another thing that I say, if this is true, prove it to me. I'm almost putting it out to, the universe, if you like, to put it simply, or the guides, whatever, and to prove that to me. And then they'll lead me to something that totally backs it up. And I trust that, whatever I'm getting, if it feels right, So, yeah, I mean, we could talk about that for hours. There's a whole, this just goes out and out and out into what we know, what we don't know, what we perceive, and how we look at things.
Okay. I want to ask, because obviously you know very well that people, or many people, not everyone, thank goodness, but many people are fearful or inquisitive or even in denial that all these things exist, or I think you used the phrase otherworldly in your description. So I wanted to ask, why do you think that happens for many people, first of all, and second, how do you approach people who are completely, fearful or inquisitive of these things?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of people are fearful because one of two things, really. Sometimes people have had an experience of some sort during their life, whether it's in childhood, they might not even remember it, and it has frightened them so much, their mind's literally shut down on it. They don't want to go there, they don't want to look at it because it's terrified them in some way. And it's gone deep into their subconscious that this isn't a good thing. It might have just been auntie come to see them to say hello, but it's a spirit at the end of the bed or in the room, or that they've seen as a child or something that frightened the life out of them. So it's brought the shutters down. So anything spirit related or anything now, it's not real, I'm going to debunk it because I don't want to accept it, because that means my reality's got to change. If I accept this, once we break down those barriers, that reality's gone for good then. If there's an exception to a rule, the rule didn't exist. We are then having to accept there's something more, and that goes against where we want to be right now. So we're literally shutting that down. And sometimes it's just we're buying into the beliefs of those around us. Our friends, our parents, if they have a belief or they've had an experience, they're going to ingrain into you, it's not a good thing. It's dark, it's evil, it's frightening, don't go there, it's going to harm you, all this sort of thing. We don't question it. We just go with it and accept it. And I think that is one of the deepest things that we're having to try and challenge to help people get beyond now. That all we're doing is connecting to that which we are all a part of, which can help us. It's there to help us, not to frighten us. And it's just finding the right ways of doing that, that break down these barriers.
So the people who are fearful, I understand your explanations. What about the people that are just inquisitive? Then I suppose it would be the next step, when someone is not afraid of it, but then he's not really, or she is not really convinced that it's real. So how do you approach that?
I think if they're inquisitive enough, basically spirit, if we put it in that term, the higher realms, those energies that are higher than us but trying to connect back to us, they will lead you to those circumstances and situations, which I call the wake-up call, that try and tap you on the shoulder to give you that awareness, that get you sparked, to get you interested, so that you do want to know more about it. If you don't have the fear reaction that shuts you down, then you want to know, what is this? Why did this happen? Or something happens to someone close to you that you can't explain, and so you want to look into that more. I think there's generally, when someone starts being really interested, they get that little nudge that spurs them on. And I know I used to be on the committee of a local spiritualist church, and this is where a medium goes to the church and starts giving messages to people from those that have passed. They are like the open connection, the open channel. And a lot of people were really, they'd come with their partners who weren't really interested at all, and their partner would be sitting there, arms folded, not really wanting to be there. And that's often where the medium will go to. And they were meant to be there, and they'll get a message that blows their mind, and it's like, how could they have known that? How could they have known this detail or that detail? So then it's their wake-up moment. And if they hadn't gone there in the first place, they wouldn't have got that moment. But like you say, for those that haven't yet had that little nudge, I think it's best to just go into the bookshop and say, okay, mentally challenge, if you like, put a thought out. If there's something here that can help me understand this more, or something I'm meant to see, let my eyes light on it, point it out to me, and they will find something, a book, a documentary, film, something that will start their wake-up process really kicking in. But yeah, it's I love the coincidences, so-called coincidences that happen. I don't believe there are such things as coincidences. It's all little nudges that are set up, that wake us up at the right moment, at the right time for us, that sets us off on our journey.
I like the word serendipity. It's much more appropriate than coincidence, which has a different color attached to it. Yes.
Yeah.
You mentioned about guidance and the way that you receive guidance, and you say that it's very important, and I understand that, for people to learn to trust their own guidance. How can one cultivate this awareness of this guidance that there is there and allow it to guide them?
Well, I don't know if everyone's aware or not, but everybody has a spirit guide team, okay? There are several beings that have had earth lives, that have evolved to a higher state where they know they don't need to incarnate anymore. And because they've had earth lives, they know the challenges we face, and they choose to be guides. So they're spiritual helpers that are with us. And every single person has their own team. It's normally 4, 5 or 6 guides they have. Some people never get to know them, never aware of them, never connect to them. Other people work very closely with their guides. So they're always trying to get your attention. They're always trying to connect to you. But sometimes we're so blind, so shut down, just having to deal with living, per se, that we never wake up to that. Because you come here with free will, so they're not allowed to interfere, but they will always try to nudge you to learn more about them, to connect to them, become aware of them. So there's a little exercise that I always try to give to people, because they've got access to the answers to give you this guidance, okay? So if you can just literally sit somewhere where you're on your own for about 10-15 minutes, that's all you need, where you can literally shut the door and say, don't disturb me for 15 minutes. And in that time, just try and literally quiet your body and relax it as much as you can. Literally think of each part of your body. Go through your arms and your chest and your legs and just tense, relax the muscles. So you're just nice and relaxed. And then mentally put a thought out and ask mentally one of your guide team if they're prepared to step forward. And in that moment, just see how you feel, because we are just this beautiful energy in this physical form, and they are that physical energy without the physical form. So they're going to bring their energy into your energy field, and often you can feel something when that happens. And it's like a calling card. They create an energy statement that you are aware of, that you can connect to. So you might get a little brush of the hair, or a tingle, or a feeling, or your heart chakra starts really opening, or there's loads of different ways they can say, hi, it's me, just so you can identify which guide is coming forward. So when you're first starting this, you're not going to know. So just see what feeling you get. And at that point, just say to them, can you now step back, please? And you will feel that energy pull back. And then say, can you step forward again, please? And see if you get that little feeling again, whether it's an itch or scratch or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you can keep doing this. They don't get fed up with this. It's not like, oh gosh, here we go. They're more than happy because they're enjoying the fact that you're trying to connect with them.
Okay.
But the important thing about that is if anyone tries that, to be aware that it's not always going to happen straight away. Because especially if you're coming from a place of a bit of skepticism, if you feel that something happening, it could frighten you. And they are not going to do it until they know it's not going to frighten you. Because a lot of people sit there, they've said to me, right, come on, I'm ready, bring it on. And then they start feeling something. It's like, oh my God, no. And it terrifies the life out of them. So they will know when you're ready. But so just keep practicing it periodically, and then you will start feeling this coming in. And that's when you start this lovely journey of connecting to your team, because they're chosen for you because they best fit what you've come to do or achieve or offload. They're there to help you with anything and everything. And they can give you that thought or impression in your mind about where to go in a fork in the road or guidance in some way or another. And we also have a higher self, which is us, but it's that part of us which doesn't incarnate into the physical form. So we're just a fragment of that. So it knows all about us. It knows about why we're here, what we've come to do, achieve, etc. So again, that's always trying to guide us. It's always trying to communicate with us. And if you get that, and I'm sure people will identify with this, sometimes you get a gut feeling about something, or there's this knowing sense. Suddenly this flash of inspiration, it's like, I know what I've got to do. And you get that real feeling. And it's like, yes, I can do this. And then almost instantly, all these other thoughts start coming in. You can't do that. You haven't got the time. You haven't got the money, the qualification, the ability. And then we start listening to that. And it's like, no, you're right. I can't do that. We feel like we're talking to ourselves. But so we go with that, and it leads us off down the wrong pathway. And then things go wrong. And it's like, I knew I should have done that because you did know. So the more we start trusting when we get those flashes of inspiration, the more things are going to work for us, because it's never going to lead you wrong. You get a fork in the road, it's trying to say, go left. And our ego is trying to say, go right. And we're going to listen to that more than we are. So it's fostering this connection and listening to those body feelings. Often that's where we're getting this guidance from initially. But the more you start building this connection to your own team of guides, they're always going to be there for you.
It's very reassuring to what you said earlier, that your guides are here to help you with anything and everything. So I mean, it's such a relief to when you believe that you're not alone, that all the troubles that you encounter in your life, or the challenges, there is help.
Yes, that is so important, Aggie, because a lot of people have had experiences, and I will explain this because it's important, where they've asked for help and they felt they haven't had it, okay? And it shuts them down. Again, it's another reason why they go, it's a load of nonsense. I asked for help, I didn't get it. Okay. This is an important thing to explain. Again, this is something that was given to me over time. That when we ask for help, we have to let go of the outcome. Okay. If we're asking for a specific type of help, we're asking to get from A to B, and we ask them to help us to get to A to B, then they're duty bound to help us get to A to B. B might not be the best place for us. So it's best to keep a request open-ended, first of all. Say, I need help with this situation. But, help me guide it to the highest and best conclusion for me and everyone around me. And they will nudge you to do what you need to do in that process. But that may then end up with a totally different outcome than you expected, but it will be the perfect outcome. But the other thing is, when we ask for help, often as not, we're in a right mess. Sometimes people who don't believe in it will reach out when things have got beyond something they can cope with. And it's like, I need help from somewhere here. And in order to put things right, sometimes we have to get further into the problem to be removed from it. And I was given, I've written some guidance on this, I was given an image in meditation once of a little slide puzzle. Remember those little puzzles where you move the bits about to create the picture?
Yes.
Slid about.
Yeah, that has one gap and you move it towards the gap. Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I got this image, so it's like, okay, what's this for? And what they was trying to show me, they said, you are the puzzle. You're in this puzzle. We've got the overview of that puzzle, but you're in the middle of it, so you can't see the picture. We can. So if you ask for help, we're better placed to know where to push the pieces to give you that help. So often as not, we've tried to complete these things and there's a little piece over here that won't fit in. Okay, so they're saying when you ask for help, we've literally got to smash everything open to bring that bit in before we can put the picture back together. So sometimes it can seem like things are getting worse before they start getting better. If you unravel a cassette tape, it's a heap there. You're not going to sort that out by picking at the edges. You've got to get right into the middle of the problem and try and sort this out. So this is where people give up. They lose faith halfway through because things seem to be getting worse. It's like, well, you're not helping me. This situation's getting worse here. And then they abandon it and then they try and take back control of the situation, put all the pieces out of place again. And this is why they think they're not getting help. It's when things seem to be getting worse, you've really got to hang in there and trust that this is working because I've asked for that help and I know I'm getting it. Because once it's often taking you to face things you don't want to face. We want the easy solution, and that isn't going to solve problems. You can deal with a symptom, but you need to get to the root core of the problem to get it out of your life. So unless they help you address this, you're only going to get a temporary solution or no solution at all. So this is why people give up, and this is an important thing that they want people to be aware of. We will not desert you. We will not leave you stranded, but you've got to hang in there and trust. You've got yourself into some deep problems, and in order to get out of those, we can do it. We can help you. Hang in there. So my advice to anyone is, please stick with it. If you're asking for help, you're going to get it, but you might have to go to places you don't want to go if they are the root cause of why you've got this problem.
That's great. There is one thing that you actually mentioned earlier briefly, and it was our higher self, our divine self. I think that's how you call it. Do you want to expand a little bit on this concept?
Well, basically, there's several sort of layers to us, if you like. This is the bottom layer, if you like. This is into the physical form. This is the nuts and bolts of what we do with that energy, or how we connect to it, or how we don't connect with it. And this is where the life issues come from, etc. Above that, we have the sort of divine self, the soul, the divine self, and that ultimately is our connection back to source. So it's like this layer down. So it has the highest knowledge and awareness of who we are and where we are. It's our highest connection that we currently have back to source. So basically, is our awareness of everything about who we are, what is, what isn't, and the reasons we chose to come here in the first place, and connecting back to that knowledge and awareness, and that then makes the journey a lot easier. But it's almost a step down from source for us, if you like, because it's that highest point of awareness that we're currently at in connection to that source. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I have one more question regarding this. So, how would you say is the best or a way to connect to our higher self? Is it through trusting that our life is happening how it's meant to happen, or is there some more, let's say, practical ways, like through meditation or some practices that we can connect to our higher self?
Yes, I mean, meditation is one of the main things. That strengthens the connection to your divine self, because one of my favorite sayings is, in order to see anything clearly, you must first close your eyes. And it shuts off the signals of everything that's going on around us and allows us purely to focus on our inner being. And that is where we strengthen this connection to our divine higher self. And if you are putting out that thought or intention before you do it, I wish to connect to my higher self. That's pushing the intention where you want it to go, and it's bringing its awareness of you down to you. So you're reaching up and then it's reaching down, and it makes it easier that way. Meditation, I think, really, but sometimes just some people say, I can't meditate. You know, they struggle. So just sitting quietly can do it. Literally, if you're just sitting quietly, and, you know, we all have the ego chatter coming up, and everyone, I'm sure there's a lot of people in here giving advice about that, but I suppose the best thing that's always worked for me is to have that bubble method, to not fight. If things want to come up that keep wanting to distract you, don't fight them away, because you're then giving it power. Just let it come up. Let whatever thought come up about what you want for dinner tonight or something, and put it in a bubble. See it in a bubble and say, I'll deal with you later, and let it float off, rather than go away. I can't focus with you, and then you've lost it. Basically, you're really struggling against your own self. If you don't fight it, just let things come up, put them in a bubble, let them go. Eventually, it will stop happening. It will get quieter and quieter and quieter, because it knows it's not going to win. These thoughts know they're not going to distract you, because there's a kind of element that we're fighting ourselves. We almost are being prevented from our own self in a way. Ego mind's trying to stop us connecting to who we are. It's trying to create every barrier and obstacle to doing that. It'll always tell you, give you fear things about it, and this isn't good, and because basically it stops being our main function, our main source, once we start opening up to something bigger than that. So its role's finished, basically. Its strength of that role's finished. It never goes, but so yeah, I some people do it when they're driving. I don't know if you've ever realized, sometimes if you're driving, sometimes you think, I don't remember the journey from here to there. You just suddenly find, oh, I'm nearly home. It's quite a frightening concept, really, but you're on autopilot. Everything's happening, but your mind's gone off somewhere else. And sometimes you're connecting. Sometimes you're totally focusing somewhere else. But again, if that happens, they'll always make sure you safely get where you're meant to go. So.
Yes. Toni, you said earlier about you mentioned the reasons why we chose to come here. And For me, when I hear you say that, it is like my interpretation would be my purpose, of what people call my purpose
Yep.
for life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I wanted your thoughts on, to discovering our purpose, our reasons for being here. And because I suppose that is the first step. Once we are more clear about what it is that we're here to do, then it is maybe not easier, but at least it's more clear that the direction is there, and we can choose to follow it if we want to be fulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
or not if we want to carry on with the physical stuff, the purely earthly stuff. Because I think there is always much more than this lower element. It's much more, because we've came from out there, so our purpose cannot just be on a physical level. That's how I feel it anyway.
No, I quite agree with you. Purpose, this is interesting because purpose covers several layers. Again, it depends what level of awareness you're currently on. The overriding main soul purpose for everybody on this planet, for being here, is to wake up and remember who you are. That's it. End of story. And everything that happens in your life will be trying to bring you back to that point. Okay. But in between that, there are several layers of where people are currently at to help them get to that final knowing of that purpose. And it can be through a vocational calling. They might have always wanted to be a nurse. They might have always wanted to paint, whatever. Mm-hmm. First of all, they'll feel that that is their life purpose. If they are getting a lot of pleasure or joy out of helping people in some way, or being a missionary, or whatever is involved, if it feels like it's done the purpose, then it's that level of purpose has been completed. But until you then break through to the next level of understanding that purpose was leading me to understand the bigger picture of why I really came here, was purely to see beyond everything that's been put in front of me, break down the barriers of this reality and see a bigger truth lying behind it, that I am more than a cut off little weak human being. There's much more to me, that I am quite a powerful energy, quite a powerful being, and I can make a difference because of who I am. That's the sole purpose. Because then any other purpose goes out the window. You just then want to wake other people up with that purpose, and that is then your purpose. So it's a knock-on effect of whatever level of awareness you're currently at. Mm-hmm. For most people, their purpose is to get through each day. It's to survive. My purpose is to have children, to bring them up to be a good parent, and that's not wrong. But at some point, they'll be given an option to try and break out of that and see things from a bigger, higher picture. Because, as I say, your purpose really will always try and nudge you to that higher view and that higher view and that higher view. Mm-hmm. And right now, through this, this lockdown, everybody is being given time to think. They haven't had time to think. You're so caught up in, you've got to get up, got to do the job, got to do this, got to look after the kids, go to work. There's no time to sit and ponder on things. And it's giving people an opportunity. And a lot more people are becoming aware. There's a lot more people who are suddenly looking into things. And it's like, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that. And it spurs their interest to do more. So I think, if anything good's coming out of this, it's that more people are becoming more aware of things because they've got time to do so. And I take that as a plus. There aren't many, but I take it as a plus, and it's an important one for people right now.
Thank you. So let's talk then about this shift in human awareness or human consciousness, which I don't know if you believe that it is happening at the moment with this unprecedented situation, or if it was meant to happen. But I think many people would agree that something big is happening, that things are changing, and maybe on the other side of this, wherever that leads us, it's going to be completely different. Hopefully it's going to be at a better level, but that's, I don't know. But I do feel that there is a shift, a change. So what's your thoughts on that? And is this pandemic, is this situation related to it? Is it triggering it? Is it influencing it? Or is it just coinciding, happening at the same time?
It goes back to the serendipity, doesn't it? I don't think there's any coincidence about this at all, because I'm not an expert on what they call the ascension, this process that where the planet is going through shifts and changes, where it's going to shift from one dimensional energy into another, which is much higher. It's something I do personally believe, but people will need to do their own research on that. But we are on the planet at the moment, so we are almost the custodians of the planet, if you like. So if the planet is going to take this dimensional shift, we need to make a dimensional shift with it, because otherwise its energy is going to be greater than we can cope with, and we're not going to make it. We're not going to shift with it. Mm-hmm. And this is why we need to start shifting a lot of the baggage we're carrying and raise our vibrations up here. The only way we can do that is by self-development, is by starting looking inward and start seeing what we can do to raise our vibrations, how we can connect and start getting a higher perspective and looking at things differently. And forgiveness is a big issue in that. That helps get rid of an awful lot of baggage. But this, as I say, the ascension process is really just us allowing ourselves to go with it. So I think with this pandemic, it's something is needed to put a spanner in the works to stop us from living the 9 to 5. Yeah. And living the way the world's existed, for hundreds of years, thousands of years. Nothing else could do it, if you think about it. What else could have brought us to a halt like this? Not many things. So we need to use that time wisely now, and it's been given to us, I feel. I don't think it was created per se, brought to us, like some biblical plague or anything like that, but I think it's something that's happened that's now being used for those purposes, so that we can get something good come from it, that we can take this time to start waking up and seeing what's happening and start working on ourselves quite urgently, because the timing of this ascension is not supposed to be that far away, within the next 5-10 years. So we need to really start working on ourselves a big way. And people are not going to do it while they're so chained to what they do every day. So that's my own personal opinion, that there's the light's almost used this as a means to help us.
I completely agree, Toni, with what you say, with the need to change, the fact that we were, as humanity, spinning out of control and destroying the planet at the same time, which and with no worry about it at all, like like we are the most important, nothing else matters, and this has forced us to stop. Whether there are other things happening on different levels, that's, I don't know, and it's beyond my comprehension, but I'm certain that it is a fantastic and necessary opportunity to evolve, to grow, to change, personally, spiritually, look inwards, as we said. And I'm afraid that the people who refuse to do that and want to cling on to the older ways, they're going to somehow left behind, which I can't explain it more, but I think they're going to miss a tremendous opportunity to move with the evolution, wherever it takes us.
Yes, totally agree. Yeah, it's a lot happening, like you say. There's an awful lot happening, and it's just opening our minds and not shutting down. Even if it's just to say, well, okay, I've not really been into this, but let's have a look. Keep an open mind. I'm not saying everyone needs to believe it, but allow yourself to have a look, and you might be surprised.
Absolutely. Open mind it's such a prerequisite of anything else. At least there is the belief in possibility that there might be something that I don't know or I'm not aware of yet. So if you close it down, you know everything already. So
and we know that's not true for anyone.
Such a foolish perspective. Thank you for listening to this first part of the interview with Toni Jehan. Tune in to the next episode, number 32, where Toni speaks about the soul realignment process, which is absolutely fascinating. See you in the next episode. Thank you very much for listening. Please take a moment to subscribe, rate and review Personal Development Mastery on Apple Podcasts. If you want to know more about me and how I can help you, join my Facebook group Personal Development Mastery. You can either search for it on Facebook or you can simply type bit.ly/PDM group. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.